Hello again. I'm going to show you my recipe for pork chops cooked with apple and cheese. There are one or two other ingredients as well, but it's nice. So I'm going to make enough for two people, so I've got 2 pork steaks, but you could use chops. If you have a chop with a big bone in it, that's going to take a little bit longer to cook, so it's up to you what you choose. Now you need an oven-proof dish that will hold about 1 litre of water, so a 1 litre oven-proof dish. And I've got the oven on to gas mark 6, which is 200 Celsius. Or 180 if you've got a fan oven, 400 if you're working in Fahrenheit. So the first thing to do is use about 1/4 of an onion, and I'm going to chop that up finely. And because it's a piece of onion, it's more difficult to cut it. So dry skin off it first. Get rid of my bits. And then I'm going to use a bridge and cut that way first, and then turn it and cut across the end to try and get smallish pieces, because we want it to be softened during the cooking time. So we'll just try and go across the end of it, and it should break up into smallish pieces. If it collapses, just go back and chop them up. Right, there we are. That goes in our dish. You don't have to be too precise about this. So onion in. Spread it around. If you want to, you can use more. It's entirely up to you, but I think for us that's enough. Now, we're going to use a cooking apple, and really you need quite a small one. That's a little bit bigger than I would like, but I'm going to use all of it because otherwise it's wasted. So again, use a bridge, cut it into 4. Then each piece needs to be cored and peeled, and I'm going to go underneath the bit where the blossom was, towards me halfway, under where the stalk was, and meet up with that angled cut. Then I'm going to just peel the skin off. Right, there we are, all 4 pieces cut. If you haven't got a Bramley, you could actually use an eating apple. It doesn't collapse in the same way that a Bramley does, but you get the flavour. So now we're going to cut this into small pieces, and again a bridge, cut between the bridge and then go over the end. Right, there we are, that's our apple all chopped, and that goes into the dish with the onion. Even it round a little bit. Now I'm going to turn my board over at this point. The next thing that goes in are the chops. So sit those on the top, and you can see that what we're creating is a sort of an apple sauce under there. I'm just going to wash my hands though. Now the next thing that we put on the top is some mustard, French mustard. And you want about ½ teaspoon on each of your chops. When you go to drop it on, if you touch the chop, you'll have to use a different spoon because you're going to go back in the jar. So try and drop it on, and then when you've done that, use the back of the spoon to spread it. And I know that there are people who don't like putting mustard onto meat because they say it stops the meat from tenderising. I can't say that I've actually found that to be true, but I know it's something people say. Now, the next thing we put onto there is some grated cheese. So I'm going to use about 50 grams, I suppose, between those two. There we are. I've got cheddar because it's got a nice flavour. And we're going to divide that between the 2 chops, and then actually we need 4 little piles, because what we do is put a bit on now, on the top of each one. But then we're going to add breadcrumbs as well. So I'm going to show you how I make my breadcrumbs. I've got a little tiny device that chops things finely, and I know that I need about ½ a slice of bread. It can be white or brown, and I'm going to break my ½ a slice into here, and you'll see what happens. Now if you don't have a little thing like this, you can use a cheese grater, you can grate your bread, or you can actually whiz it around the inside of a colander, and it's slower, but you will finish up with breadcrumbs. So this is actually the handle of my stick blender, and it fits into the lid, and the lid goes on, and we make a bit of a noise. Get ready. There we are. There's my breadcrumbs. Take out the blade, and then I can put my fingers in there and sprinkle half of that onto the cheese. If it falls off, it doesn't matter, because actually it soaks up some of the juices that you get from the apple, and that's quite nice. And this will create a crust on the top, and it protects the chops so that they don't get too well done and dry out in the oven. So there we are, there's our breadcrumbs. And then we go back to the cheese and we put the rest of the cheese on the top. There we are. Now this goes into the oven and it will cook for between 45 minutes and an hour. It depends on how big and thick your pork chops are. These I think will take 45 or 50 minutes, but if you've got great big ones with a bone in, give them an hour. And at the same time, roast some potatoes, and then you've got a meal. Okay, so into the oven with these. These are ready to go in. I've got the oven on. Gas mark 200 for anything up to an hour. There we are. Oh, right, there's the timer. So they're done. Let's have a look. Oh, perfect. Look at that. We've got a crisp top, we've got an apple sauce for our pork, and we've got a lovely flavour. So there we are. We've got our apple sauce and we've got our lovely chops and plenty of flavour. So have a go, like, share, subscribe, and I hope you like this one. Bye for now.